Alrighty, guys. So, breaking news out of Arkansas. John Calipari is freaking back. John Calipari is now the new head coach of the Arkansas Razorbacks. And what an amazing job by Arkansas to get this thing done. John Calipari is a guy that has won a national championship. He's been to probably like 5 or 6 Final Fours in his career. The amount of players that have gotten drafted number 1 overall from Kentucky, even Memphis, going back to Derrick Rose. You have Tyreek Evans, that was a big-time player under Coach Cal, Tyrese Maxey, Devin Booker, Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Davis. I mean, the list goes on and on at Kentucky. You know, I can even, again, we could probably be here for like another 3 minutes just listing guys. Like Trey Lyles went in the top 12. Just in terms of lottery picks, Tyler Hero played at Kentucky. Emmanuel Quickly is a first-round guy. There's just Devin Booker, I said, played at Kentucky. Just Coach Cal has coached great talent. Scal Labissiere was a top 10 pick who went to Kentucky as well. Rob Dillingham and, TJ Wagner and Reed Shepard were this year's class of players, but Malik Monk, De'Aaron Fox was one team that they had at Kentucky, Oscar Tshiebwe and that core. And then the Harrison twins and the platoon there that they had at the University of Kentucky with like Aaron Eulis and those Tyler Eulis and those that great team that they had really in Kentucky in the mid 2000s. Kentucky was rolling at UK. But now he ends up at Arkansas. And Arkansas, they wanted to go after Chris Beard. Chris Beard stayed at Ole Miss. Obviously, Chris Beard has the off-the-court issue that is going on where he got in a dispute, a domestic dispute in the state of Texas. He's an elite winner. Players like Chris Beard, it was a personal situation, but law enforcement got involved, and that's why I had to leave the University of Texas. So then you look at Kentucky or you look at Arkansas, and they could have went after Jerome Tang, and Tang was with Scott Drew a while, had a really successful year of Marquise Noel and that team last year. This year they kind of fallen off, so he's kind of a younger coach at Kansas State, only there 2 years. I don't like how they don't storm the floor in Manhattan, Kansas. That's just me. Defensively, they're kind of a mess also. Kaluma was a big-time get from Creighton, and that didn't really develop. So then, Jerome Tang was involved in the search, and then maybe you're going Will Wade. Maybe he can win more at Arkansas than he did at LSU, where he made a couple of tournaments. And then, with Will Wade, he had the scandals of paying players, but now that's all legal and above board. And then what he did at McNeese has been fantastic. It's kind of similar to what, Scott Drew's brother Bryce Drew is doing, except Will Wade was actually better at LSU, and now Matt McMahon's kind of struggling at LSU. You're seeing how hard it is to win in basketball at LSU. So, Arkansas, they end up getting John Calipari. And Calipari, it's a splash hire. It's one of the biggest hires in Arkansas history. First of all, Cal's going to recruit. Cal's motivated now because Kentucky fans wanted his ass out. They wanted him out because in the NCAA tournament, he hasn't made the second weekend in about 4 years. COVID year, the team didn't even make the tournament. Then he lost to St. Peter's and he lost to Oakland, 14 and 15 seeds respectfully in the first round, and then he lost to Kansas State. So looking at Cal, I still think he did a really nice job actually with this team. I mean, this team played terrible defense. Reed Shepard's a fine player, but he's a freshman. Rob Dillingham is good. Antonio Reeves is nice, but I don't think that the talent is all that great. They didn't have a center. Their defense was terrible. Justin Edwards was a young freshman at the time. for them to get a 3 seed was good, and then Jack Golke just went nuts, and there's an alternate world in which Kentucky might have made an Elite Eight with this team. So I'm not going to let one game against Oakland define how I feel about Coach Cal. And then you're talking about Arkansas that had Mike Anderson a really long time. Okay, Bus recruited well too, but, Musselman's teams kind of fell off. I mean, you had that Jordan Walsh year a couple of years ago where you had these McDonald's All-American guys. Like, what was it? Nick Smith as a point guard was one of the best point guards in the country. And that team got an 8 seed. I know they beat Kansas, but then they got trounced by the eventual national champions. So I know that Muss in the tournament got to a couple Elite Eights. I never really thought he was a threat to ever go to a Final Four. I know that they played Baylor. He did a decent job there, but the program, he didn't even have that good of a season last year. And I just think Cal has a longer track record than Muss. And obviously Muss didn't want to be in Northwest Arkansas. But Coach Cal's used to the SEC. Coach Cal is used to a town, southern town, Lexington and Fayetteville. He's used to the region. He's used to obviously the conference. For Arkansas, you're going to get somebody that has put so many guys in the league. The recruiting's going to be off the charts, exactly like how it was with Muss. But also you're getting a motivated Coach Cal, and Cal's won everywhere. He was able to transform Memphis. Memphis hasn't been the same. UMass obviously hasn't been the same. He's made everywhere better, made Kentucky better. And for Arkansas right now, I'm telling you, I really, really like this hire for Arkansas. I mean, what's the downside? I mean, Cal is a proven guy. Again, Arkansas, their expectations are going to be less than Kentucky. They're going to want talent. They're going to want NCAA tournament appearances, but it's not Final Four or bust like it's going to be in Lexington. And I'm telling you that I think that Cal's going to find this job to be even more appealing for him in a lot of ways. I know a lot of people who cover Arkansas sports up there. And again, I'm pumped for Arkansas. It's huge for Hunter Yurachek. I mean, they're struggling with the football program. Sam Pittman really struggling to find that identity after Sam Pittman had that initial surge, with that senior-laden team that he had in 2019. So for the athletic director there, it's important for him to get his you-know-what together, and they landed this thing with the Tyson family that is responsible for Tyson Food and Chicken. They're pumping in tons of money to Coach Cal, and they land Cal. This is awesome for Arkansas. And if Cal ever makes a Final Four at Arkansas, it's going to be like 25 years since they've been in a Final Four, since probably the 90s and 60, 94 feet of hell or 40 minutes of hell, I guess, and the pressing and all of that. So I think Arkansas basketball is going to be back now with Coach Cal. Now I'm now going to talk about Kentucky's options. So Kentucky now, you know that the expectations are high, but they have the best resources in college basketball. They have the best fan base. I'm going to say it. I believe that they have the best fan base in college basketball. It's right up there with Kansas. You're right up there at Rupp Arena. I mean, the center of the sport goes right through Kentucky. I know that Kentucky's a little bit like the Cowboys, but also the Cowboys is kind of like the NFL in terms of how much how much if Jerry Jones sold it, it would go for. So you have all the resources, you have all the opportunities there to win. So I'm sure that Kentucky, I think that they're going to look for a splash hire. The splashiest hire would be Jay Wright. Jay Wright, one of the best basketball coaches of all time, kind of stunningly left Villanova in 2019 or 2021. He's a guy that didn't really like the transfer portal way of college basketball and just how it's so different. Him going to Kentucky, it doesn't make sense if he got out of Nova for that reason, but also Nova isn't as good of a job as Kentucky. Plus, Jay Wright living in the South, living in Lexington, a chance for Jay Wright as he's in his 60s to take on this challenge and become the greatest coach to ever live. If he wins 2 more championships, it's going to become obvious that he's the greatest coach in the history of basketball if he wins 4 or 5 titles. Right now he has 2 titles, a lot of Final Four runs. He's right up there with Bill Self right now when you look at, Jay Wright, or he's up there with trying to figure the guys like Roy Williams, Coach K probably ahead of him. But if he wins like 2 more championships, he'll surpass, Rick Pitino and all these guys. And he's on par with that. What he did at Villanova was that special. Where does he care about his status in history? Does he still love coaching? Does he love improving? Does he love the game of recruiting? I know that he likes developing. So that's why a place like Kentucky might not fit Jay. It's just a fishbowl in a way in Lexington, and it's the ultimate NIL kind of boilerplate. So it's everything he said he hated at Nova, but the job is just so alluring in terms of the talent, in terms of how you can win, in terms of how your legend can be great. Guys I think will really take the job. I think that Mark Few at Gonzaga will take the job. I mean, Mark Few's been to, 7 straight Sweet 16s. He's done what he can in Spokane, Washington. He's very comfortable, but Kentucky's the type of job that he would likely leave for. I think Scott Drew at Baylor builds a good offensive system, can really recruit well. But to me, the slam dunk hire, I would talk a little bit about Jay Wright. I think Jay Wright would get the thing rocking. I think that, honestly, Nate Oates would be the first call. And I think that Nate Oates, as much as it's Alabama, it's going to be Alabama to Kentucky. I just believe that Nate's like the next coming of a great basketball coach, only 49, and knock on wood stays healthy. The guy is an absolute rock star. I love the system of how they shoot threes, how its layups are threes. It really prepares guys for the NBA. He's an intense competitor. I know that he loves Alabama. So Nate Oates is certainly high on this list. I think that Dan Hurley, obviously, but I don't think Hurley is leaving. To me, it is Nate Oates, and that style is really, really appealing to score and to play in. So I think that Nate Oates would really fit Kentucky. I think Nate Oates is a rock star personality that would really embrace the University of Kentucky. So I think they're going to go big game hunting. I think that Mark Few is out there. I think that Beard would be in play. I think that Beard, Nate Oates, certainly in play. I mean, of course, Hurley and Jay Wright are really, really in play. Then you got to figure the guys that are very well regarded right now, I guess, at the given moment, and think of who's going to really fit at Kentucky. I think that Schertz is probably too far off the radar. I don't think Brad Underwood's going to necessarily go there, but Brad had a great year. Otzelberger's a hot name. So these are like the second wave of guys. Like, I think Otzelberger likes Iowa State. These are the total second waves of guys. And if you have to go to the second wave of guys, like if Oates says no, if Chris Beard, you cannot get the school to sign off on Beard, if Jay Wright, if Dan Hurley, if these guys all say no, then you really entertain Mark Few. I would also talk to Tommy Lloyd. Scott Drew I like, but not as much as Oates. I think that Oates, what he's done at Alabama, like especially this year, getting this team, to a Final Four, is that good. They're never going to get down, I believe, to the Schertz, the Bucky McMillans, the Todd Goldens. I don't believe that they're going to be doing that. I think that Few is very much in play. I think that that Drew's in play, but really Nate Oates is the guy that is tailor-made to fit this Kentucky job and really take over at a legendary spot here. But this coaching search is going to be bonkers. It's going to be wild. This is probably the most coveted seat in college basketball. And man, it's interesting to see. They can go. There's so many unbelievable coaches, and really nobody is safe here. No program is safe when the University of Kentucky is out on the prowl. So we're going to have to see. I didn't mention Bruce Pearl's name, but again, I don't think it's that good of a fit. I don't love that idea. again at Kentucky. I really don't. I think Bruce in the tournament is just, kind of iffy lately, and I'm telling you, I like Oates better. I like Drew, and I even like Mark Few, better. Of course, Jay, Dan Hurley, and then Beard. So those are probably the top guys that I would say, for the University of Kentucky. But we're going to see, what happens, guys. It's a fascinating time here. Big Blue Nation in Arkansas. I cannot wait for the rivalries in the SEC, like college basketball, and for Cal to leave Kentucky after the fans of Kentucky wanted him the F gone. I cannot tell you how exciting it's going to be next year at Rupp and Bud Walton when these teams are going to face each other, and seeing Cal remain in conference is going to be it's going to be electric. It's going to be lit. It's going to be all those kind of words that you want to say. Cannot wait, man. It's going to be fun.